Hello, my name is Doug Dortch, minister at Captiva Chapel by the Sea. Thank you so much for joining me today for another weekly devotion. This morning, we're going to look at a passage of Scripture from the Gospel of Luke, the 10th chapter, and I'll begin reading with the 38th verse, where it says that as Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what Jesus said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me." And Jesus answered, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, and indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." Have you ever noticed how so much pressure is exerted on us by our culture to be experts at what people call multitasking? You know, at one time, our culture encouraged us to be focused, to give ourselves only to one task. But now it seems like the expectation has flipped so that we're expected to be proficient at many things at the same time. And so we've become generalists instead of specialists. You may remember that TV commercial from some time ago where somebody walks into an office to talk to a supervisor, and the supervisor is making out like an octopus. With one hand, he's running a calculator. With another hand, he's answering phone calls. And with a third hand, he's signing letters. And with a fourth hand, he's drinking coffee. And the whole thing is something of a spoof on how silly our multitasking culture has become. Well, I think it's great if you happen to be one of those people who can spin multiple plates at the same time and do so with some degree of proficiency. But there are some things that defy multitasking. And if we try to multitask in those things, we end up breaking plates and exposing our folly, such as in matters of the Spirit. You see, at the end of the day, life is complicated enough without having to succumb to the pressure to multitask about spiritual things, which is the message that Luke gives us in that passage that I read for you from the Gospel of Luke. It's the story of Jesus' encounter with two sisters, Martha and Mary. It's a story that is unique to the Gospel of Luke. Martha and Mary are mentioned elsewhere, but it's only in Luke that we find this story of Martha's discomfort with her having to wait on Jesus all by herself. Discomfort's a mild way to put it. Martha was pretty angry because hospitality was a core value to people in Jesus' day, and from where Martha saw the situation, her sister Mary was lying down on the job, even if the place where she was lying was right at the feet of Jesus. And so Martha bristles, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all this work by myself?" And the way Martha asked the question suggests that she thought Jesus did not care, that Jesus was so flattered by Mary's attention that he had lost sight of the obligations that were at hand. Besides, Mary was a woman, and everybody in Jesus' day knew where a woman's place was, not where the boys were talking about spiritual matters. No, a woman's place was in the kitchen, and so Mary is there with Jesus while Martha is waiting on Jesus. And so Martha implores Jesus, tell her to help me. She was absolutely convinced, Martha was, that she was right and Mary was wrong. But notice how Jesus responds. Martha, Martha. It's a rebuke, but it's a gentle rebuke. It's the kind of correction that understands how someone, in this case Martha, can be a victim of outside expectations. So Jesus says, Martha, Martha, you're worried, you're upset about many things. You're distracted. That's what Jesus is saying. But only one thing is needed, and Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Let me ask you a question today. Do you spend time listening to Jesus? You say, well, yeah, I try to, but when I do, it seems all I get is silence. I never hear Jesus telling me anything. But let me ask you another question. What if that silence were a way for you to rid your mind and your heart of the things that block you from truly hearing what Jesus has to say? Might it be that the reason that we don't hear the voice of Jesus is because while praying, our minds and our hearts are consumed by the outside noise of life? We have things on our plate, to do items on our list. We have obligations and responsibilities, many of which are perfectly good. But spiritual growth, that doesn't happen when we multitask. You don't experience Jesus while mulling over your to-do list or trying to track your investments or planning for the big event that's right around the corner. All those things are important, every single one of them, but none of them is more important than your spending time with Jesus, because Jesus gives us an integrated center to life from which we might address the ordinary and even pressing matters of life. And so today you may be anxious about the challenges and the burdens that lie ahead of you, and from where you stand, Jesus is nowhere to be seen. But even if Jesus were to be seen, you don't know if you'd have any time to listen to him, because you're distracted. You're pulled. You're feeling the pressure of trying to do too much in your own power. You're sagging under the weight of other people's expectations. And Jesus understands where you're coming from, and he loves you in spite of it. But at the same time, Jesus even now is calling you to a different path. There's a better way for you to attend to your life's responsibilities, and that way begins by attending to Jesus. And so this week, when you find yourself in the course of your everyday activities getting worried and upset, do yourself a favor. Step away for a moment and take some time to focus on Jesus. Close your eyes and lift your heart and listen attentively to what Jesus has to say to you in that situation. It will be an investment not only in your productivity, it will be an investment in your eternity, because like Mary, when you choose what is better, what you get will be something that will never be taken away. Thank you again for being with me. I hope you have a great week. Take time to listen to Jesus. You'll be better for it. And I'll look forward to being with you next week.